All right, guys. Welcome to one of our sub-series on our channel, aptly named Fallen from Grace, where we kind of just pick one of the many gaming studios that was once great and made our childhood and is now really just in rubble, or in shambles, rather.
Not the same.
Not the same. First one that I think probably everyone has heard about, everyone knows about, everyone probably talked about, but we want to talk about it because we just, it affects us too, is Konami. I think anyone who knew anything about gaming knew that Konami was one of the juggernauts back in the day. They had Silent Hill for whatever how long it lasted. They had Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, Yu-Gi-Oh, which Yu-Gi-Oh is still going strong, but they had a lot of legendary titles.
Mm-hmm. With Konami, I wasn't really into the horror thing like that, but I played a couple of their games, like Castlevania, The Lord of Shadows. That was a really good one. 1 and 2 really enticed me. It was very good. I played one of their games, but I found out that Konami didn't make it. It was Metal Gear Rising, but it was one of their characters.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting, the world building that they used from, Metal Gear Solid. And it had me immersed. It was a different type of game. I know it's like giving credit to another company, but it's still the original, Konami.
It's still their property. Exactly. And I mean, a lot of people say that, Castlevania Symphony of the Nights is one of the greatest games ever, not just a great Castlevania game. And of course, in my opinion, Silent Hill, maybe 1 to 3, were probably some of the best horror games at the time. They were trying to rival Resident Evil.
That's because it was just starting out, and Resident Evil was, getting this thing on too at the time.
Resident Evil was more traditional, Hollywood blockbuster type.
But that's
horror.
the thing. But that's what I'm saying.
Silent Hill was more psychological. More
Resident Evil was pretty cool because I don't want to turn it into Resident Evil, but it was cool. It was you got to shoot boom, 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 boom. You was afraid, but you could handle yourself. Only time you was really afraid is when you ran out of ammo. With Silent Hill, it's oh shit, what the fuck is this pyramid head? Oh damn.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, right? Silent Hill took an approach of really that obscure type of horror. And I think I've watched many videos, read articles about the development. The team Silent themselves, did you know that they were all quote unquote the rejects of all their departments put together to make one team and say, here, you guys go make a game with this budget. Let's see what you guys can do. And they made Silent Hill.
I never knew.
Yeah,
that.
And so that's why they took approaches from their own lives, I guess, their own experience, where they're gonna have that, a damaged, fractured, not real type, not a hero type, but he's still the protagonist of the story, which was kind of rare back then because everyone was always the action hero type shit.
But I mean, that was a pretty cool spin because it's the further you got into the game, you realize oh, I deserve to be here because I'm a piece of shit. You started to unravel pieces, which was pretty cool. So it was a different outtake. That's why Silent Hill was so popping at the time, because it was a different outtake on life. It's sad to see after 3, it was just
it was trash. And then,
but I mean, they did pick it up when they tried to release, well, not release, but they gave the demo to PT, and game.
We'll touch on that soon. Now, let's at least give some of the highlights of Konami, because definitely PT, that could have been something. But another franchise that we haven't really touched on, which is shockingly, the Metal Gear Solid franchise. That was
I did talk about. Well,
you mentioned it, but I'm just we've been going into Silent Hill a lot, but Metal Gear Solid, literally, in my opinion, created the stealth genre. It was one of the first games that really was no, we're not going to just be a run and gun action game. We're going to have the player have the option to run around and hide. And back then, a lot of the executives were no, people aren't going to want to play a game where you're a coward.
And where they wrong.
And then Konami was no, give me a chance. I'm going to make this shit. And then, dude, he started implementing just new just groundbreaking ideas. That's why he's such a legend.
You mean Kojima, right?
Yes.
Kojima.
Hideo Kojima, sorry.
Yeah,
he worked for Konami.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima, which he didn't even go to school for game design, but that's a whole other thing.
But that's the thing, man. You don't always got to go to school. You just got to hone your talents.
That dude
hone your talents, man.
That dude was a guy who loved movies, who got to make games. So that's why his games are always kind of really cinematic. They branch off from the norm.
But I don't mind that though.
Well, no, I love that. That's why he's one of my favorites. But So, Konami has all these, franchises going. Silent Hill is kind of dying out near when Metal Gear is kind of like getting into like the second or third game, fourth game.
I just feel like,
but they had Kojima still. Like they were still a respectable development crew. Like they actually for the time being. But then like stuff started. The
surfacing.
Well, I think the biggest thing was the whole departure from anything Silent Hill that was good. Like they totally broke up Team Silent. They didn't even care. Like poor work conditions. People started quitting, going to different studios.
Oh, you know what it sounds like? Which should be one of our next ones, Naughty Dog. But I'm not going to talk about it.
I feel a lot of studios definitely crunch, and we like never know about that.
You mean overwork their workers?
That's what I'm saying. Crunch.
But
anyways, but what Konami did to Kojima, I think, is worse than what anyone has ever gone through.
But I mean,
that dude
that's
is
true,
that dude literally carried them. He carried them as a company, bro. Like I don't care what anyone says.
He was a VIP. He was a VP.
I know that sometimes he can be, some people can have opinions on him that his games are too, full of themselves or whatever, and it is kind of like unusual. Here's the thing though. They say that because in game design,
I just want to say one thing. Just one thing before you get to game design. I mean, the reason I felt like they said that was because of Death Stranding, but Death Stranding was
I liked it.
Let me finish. Death Stranding was an accumulation, like an accumulation of all his games before. Of course, I would be cocky as fuck if all my games before was amazing.
Well, no, dude, I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't have confidence. He probably definitely, when he walks in the room, bro, he takes over the room. I get that. But I was trying to say what people try to say, or what like Konami didn't like about him, is that a lot of studios design philosophy literally is like the sum of your parts. Like there is like not one guy in charge. Maybe like how Neil Druckmann was pretty much like the guy that made the fucking last call on a lot of like final decisions for the game. But most times like each studio okay, you guys are doing the cutscenes, and whatever the cutscenes are literally the director decides it. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully every department's good. That's what makes it a very good game, at least traditionally. Kojima literally had like his foot in every single thing. Like he was like a fucking film director. Like he would go and be like, all right, I'm gonna write the game. I'm gonna create the characters. I'm gonna have the game design. I'm gonna do all.
They gave him
the ability because he was that good.
He had full control, and plus he was the VP. Like he was the vice president at one point.
I mean, he might as well have been the fucking owner of that shit, but
yeah, like they was gonna let that happen. They had a cash cow. They fucked it up.
Along with that though, they did not like how he can never really set a budget. A lot of times, especially for probably the last good game they ever released, which was Metal Gear Solid 5, even though that got fucking cut in some portions, just so because they wanted to rush the game design.
But even with that, it's hard to come up with a budget when, I mean, I get like video games are different than movies, but it's hard to come up with a budget when you're thinking like, all right, I want to use this engine,
dude,
I want to do this, I need to hire this amount of people.
It's just
and most times you're not gonna hire the best.
If you mess up one thing, like the whole design has to probably be freaking scrapped.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
that is
so
really
you need that money, that caution money, the backup money. That's what I'm saying.
But I remember reading this that that was one of the things that they hated the most, and that's why they were trying to get rid of him during the Metal Gear Solid 5 development, and that's why like I just said, they cut out at least 3 to 4 major arcs of the entire plot. How can you really get a full plot? Well, he still somehow put something together that was kind of resembling one, but
when you great, you great. That's all I gotta say, man.
The gameplay mechanics established in that game were fucking phenomenal. Even after all of that. And what did they do? That was the last year. I don't know if he had a contract or they were just contractually obligated until he finished the game production because they wanted to make the fucking money. They fucking canned his ass immediately.
I thought he left.
No, really?
Yeah, I thought he quit.
No, because they were putting it. No, they were initially putting a bunch of fucking heavy restrictions on him.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought he quit. In the gaming news, yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you was because
I meant they pretty much fucking cut his balls off. He was no longer who he was in that.
So basically, you were saying he got cut at the knees. Yeah.
They fucking did not want him to be who he was, and a bunch of fucking disputes over this, that, and the third. They literally have the Game Awards where Metal Gear Solid is nominated for awards, and they fucking ban him from attending.
That's some Will Smith shit. And then he didn't even slap nobody.
No, he didn't even show up because he couldn't. They did not let him walk in, dude. The dude who actually created the fucking game
But that's what I'm
that would be
saying. That's a
presented.
Will Smith shit because he banned for the next 10 years. And he didn't even slap nobody. They were like, yeah, bro, I don't want you coming in and getting an award for your game. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. Could you imagine if a company told you can't get an award for your game?
It wasn't just that, dude. Like, the public perception of Konami, like, went to shit after that. Like, it was already faltering because they never made a fucking good Silent Hill game. They kept just giving the fucking, they kept like just literally licensing out to random studios that made like no games, and they're always shit fucking games that come out.
But can we talk about when they almost gave a good Silent Hill game and they fucked that up too?
Oh yeah, with Kojima, that was like his project. He was gonna fucking revolutionize Silent Hill.
That shit was about. But the crazy thing about that game was, I remember like bits and pieces, but I remember like. It was one of those games like you was definitely not gonna beat. We talked about video game like difficulty in our last video, and it was one of those games you was not gonna beat unless you looked it up because you had to like, oh yeah, go to this, say this in the microphone this many times and the shit will appear. Like you remember that shit, or like go here at 12 o'clock and the baby like what? I'm like,
dude, and
but it was so good though. It was good.
That would have been fucking like. The true gaming experience where it takes over the fucking player. That's what he loves to do. He loves to fuck with the player.
Remember, that would have fucked with a lot of people.
Do you remember in Metal Gear Solid 2 when, or I think the first game,
well, when it was supposed to be a simulation,
you had to switch the fucking controller to the second port to actually fight the boss battle.
And because the first one was work and you thought it was broke, you're like, bro,
come on, like when shit like that happens.
I thought you were talking about
true attention to detail.
The reason I brought up the simulation because one of the ones Metal Gear games, like he was supposed to be in a simulation or something like that.
All I know is that Metal Gear Solid 2, no one knew that it wasn't going to be Solid Snake. It was fucking Raiden.
Yeah.
But everyone thought it was going to be Solid Snake, bro. And like that's like a big fucking. He was bold. I'll give him that. He was a bold fucking designer.
That's how you pull off a good switch. Yeah, good switcheroo, misdirect.
And
without even saying shit.
And Konami obviously hates that shit. So they split. He has his own studio. He pretty much takes like all the remnants of like the last good designers that Konami still had there, art directors or just any position you can think about. If they wanted to actually still make games that they actually love to make, they literally left with Kojima into his new production studio.
But it makes sense. Like, who am I? Am I gonna stay here with a team that doesn't value me, or am I gonna go with the GOAT?
Now, if you want to touch on kind of like their new direction, what their new fucking
you mean
prerogative is
the
nowadays.
the main reason they stopped making like big budget games and the reason they cut off Kojima at the balls is because they wanted to. They just became money hungry. They only care about the money. Like they're making pachinko games. Their real source of income is Yu-Gi-Oh, which is fucking huge. Like the #1 card game around the world. I play Yu-Gi-Oh. Shit. Like, and the money you spend for those cards is ridiculous. And I'm not even talking about the money. Oh yeah, I'm not even talking about the money you spend on like the cards. I'm talking about the money people spend. Like, it's YouTubers that spend $400, $500 on cards in the video game to buy the pack. Like the new Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out. Like, shit is ridiculous. Like the money they spend on this, and then they do mobile games, so like gotcha games and shit like that. And you pay money for that too, so it's just like, but it's like it's not her. Like this, basically they get a bigger return on their investment at a lower risk. Like you go, like just like you said, the Silent Hill games were basically flopping.
Well, because they were like literally licensing it to companies that didn't probably require much, and they were just literally like their like portfolio was like maybe a mobile game or like an app. Like it wasn't even they were not like really anything. Like they had no reputation. They had no track record to show what kind of game they can make because they're probably the cheapest to fucking work with. You know, like here, just make a fucking cheap product. The name will sell it. You know, they'll buy it because it's Silent Hill.
But that's video. I'm not saying all video game companies do that,
but that is the evil that exists within it. And Konami definitely has become like the evil, like one of. I mean, they're obviously not committing crimes or anything, but they're like
money above all.
They're perceived as one of the more evil studios. I mean, I know there's a few others out there, but that's for another fucking video.
Hey, this is gonna be a big series, so we might touch back on Konami one day if we get new news.
Yeah, if they ever become anything relevant, or they ever get rid of their
Current president.
their fucking IPs. No, like that. No, dude, they're not changing. I think they're gonna sit like this forever, dude. They are gonna make money.
They're just saying
No,
fuck it.
come on. I think what's more likely to happen, that they'll just say fuck it, let's just sell Silent Hill to some big studio for a lot of money, or that they're gonna hire a whole new team, put money into production, try to get this whole shit. No, hell no. That time and money they're gonna want to invest.
I always want you to think about this.
They don't care about the games.
They don't care about the games. That's why I think they would. If somebody paid enough money, they would sell.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. Like they will only do that.
Like that's the only thing I can think of.
Like, come on, Sony, somebody buy Silent Hill and give it a proper fucking attempt. You'll build a fucking franchise, and you'll build something that's gonna make you consistent money. Which is what the hell, the whole point of these execs is just to find something that's going to be safe and works. That's going to be appealing to the fucking norm, to the kind of conventional wisdom of the game design as it is right now, I guess.
That's if it comes. But like I said, I feel like they're more likely to sell it and just, but right now they're just sitting on it. Because, the PT thing was ridiculous.
But they can even just they can just partner with another studio that's actually halfway decent, that actually has some track record, and say, hey, remake the old Metal Gear Solid games, or hey, remake the first 3 Silent Hills. I think that wouldn't even cost them that much fucking money compared to getting a whole new production company for a brand new sequel or whatever. Just go to someone that does good games.
I just feel like they're too greedy to do all that.
But I don't even think that would cost them that much, and I think they would make a lot of money.
I know, but I feel like they're still greedy. They're
greedy, so they don't want. I just think that they're just saying fuck it. We are gonna do what we want to do, and
that's what I'm saying. They're greedy, bro. They want to have day way and more. That's why Kojima got cut at the legs, bro. They cut him for no reason, and he was good. If someone's bringing me heat after heat, that's like being the coach of the Bulls and being like, all right, Michael, we don't want you in our team no more.
The Bulls pretty much did that to Michael Jordan, so it obviously happens.
They
the corporation never wants to let something one of their players be bigger than them, dude. Hell no, they can't handle that.
But I guess you're right. But you're right. But he came back, but Kojima not coming back. But still, it's just
but Mike came back and they did his ass to him again. He said, "I'm not, guys, Michael Jordan now." Whatever. Regardless. Let's
wrap it up.
It is a reoccurring theme that when a studio, company, brand has a player within them that becomes bigger than the brand, they don't necessarily like that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, on that note, we're Silent Knights. If you like the video, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think about Konami, and peace.
I'll see you guys next time.